think that it's like genital warts. It just feels like genital warts. You know what I'm saying? Oh, hey guys. Hey, how's it going? Hey, welcome to another episode of Geek'd Out. I am your host, Carter Anderson. Gosh, you guys kind of snuck up on me there. Put a little bell on you or something. We are so happy to be back. This is our, our umpteenth episode. We have been at this for a while. I'm really happy to be back for another episode. This week we are covering The Mandalorian. And some of you are like, oh man, you're already doing this? And then some of you are like, how the fuck did it take this long? We actually, in our very first episode, we tapped into The Mandalorian just a little bit, talked about how it's very comparable to a spaghetti Western in a lot of ways. This show was great. For one of the reasons why the show was so great is because very little CGI, not too crazy on insane effects. It was really just old school Star Wars. It was like we were back in the 70s, and it really tied in, and it made a really beautiful story. This is a very interesting story arc. I brought a couple guests, a couple old friends, and a couple really great people that I think you're going to like. Our first guest on the show, a good friend of mine, super funny. Haven't talked to him in quite a while, but then again, I haven't talked to anyone in a while. I have been isolated like a motherfucker. Give it up for Ty Matlock.
Woo. Hey, what's going on, man?
I am doing well, man. It's good to see you. How are things in San Angelo?
Pretty good. Things are pretty, I guess, boring for the most part. Not a lot going on here. But it's fun for me because I just stand and watch Star Wars all day.
Oh yeah. I same here. I was just watching the first half of Empire Strikes Back. Arguably one of the best movies.
Oh yeah.
Before
maybe
the show
inarguably.
started, maybe inarguably, yeah. But I don't know. There's some other great contenders in there. Like Rogue One is fantastic.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah. I would even I know people don't fuck with the prequels as much. People don't enjoy the prequels, but Revenge of the Sith was really well done.
It was fun.
I wouldn't say it's the best. Yeah, it was fun. It was really good, and I just think I was like, oh, so that's how everything got fucked in there. That's why there are no more Jedi.
Oh yeah, when he pulled out the saber and he killed younglings, I cheered in the theater. Now I will say with this caveat, I had rented out an entire theater for that movie, so it wasn't that I was just cheering with the general audience. I want you to know that I wasn't like, yeah, die children. I was amongst friends and family while I was cheering for the children to die. So somehow that's better, maybe.
Oh, I'm sure that there are some parents right now that are doing some homeschooling that that's their favorite scene of any movie ever now.
They want to hire Anakin to come get their kids. That's the service that needs to be provided.
Kids, now I got you guys a private tutor. His name is Anakin Skywalker. You should call him your doom. Oh man. Can't stand these kids. All right. Our next guest, a great comedian. Always a pleasure when I see him at open mics and shows. Give it up for Andres Rodriguez, everyone.
Woo, woo.
Hey.
Yeah.
How's it going, buddy? So before the show got started, when we were kind of getting ready, Rodriguez, we were discussing the possibility of someday being able to make a lightsaber, actually make a lightsaber, create one.
Yes, we did.
And I was giving some of my theories on how it could be done. Would you like to kind of get into your theories on what would need to be done to make a lightsaber possible?
Well, first I thought if it were possible, there would have to be a way to taper the blade at the end, because if it's just a beam of energy, in theory, once you turn it on, that motherfucker is just going to keep going up and up and up, hitting planes, birds, whatnot, because it's just essentially a light beam. So it's just a beam of light that can just cut through anything. And if it falls, who knows where it'll land. So it would have to have some kind of design where you have the hilt, the blade, the handle, and then a rail that can catch the end of the blade, or as Ty ingeniously thought of, to have the blade set in such a way that the frequency of energy is weaker at the tip, akin to a flame. Like the closer you get your hand to the tip, the more effective the blade gets, and the closer you get to the pommel, your hand gets cut off. And then that's Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is true. That would work. Yeah. My theory for what they could do was at the end of every single lightsaber is just create a small, tiny little portal. And on the other side of the portal is the dimension where they stop the laser. So, so the portal has to like kind of follow the lightsaber around. So it'd kind of be a lot more work than they imply that it takes in the movies to make a lightsaber. But, it is kind of a big deal when you lose your lightsaber. It's kind of like when, a cop loses its gun or some shit like that. It's like serious trouble. Like you get fired, like they get upset. Well, let's go ahead and get right into this, okay? I just rewatched the series a couple weeks ago, and just really great. I love what Jon Favreau did with this. First of all, I love Jon Favreau. Can you just take one quick moment to appreciate Jon Favreau and just what a delightful dork and dude that he is. He's just a great director. He did a great job with, the Iron Man films that he was in charge of. Just really good guy. And Swingers was a good movie too. It's a good movie.
Swingers wasn't bad at all. Great movie. Yeah,
it was good.
It was necessary for masculinity at the time.
No, that movie wouldn't have gotten made now. Most movies before 2006 wouldn't have gotten made now.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But
No, but he did a brilliant job. Oh, sorry. He did a brilliant job bringing that team together. And he doesn't take enough credit. He doesn't. Like, if you ever hear any interviews with him, he's just like, oh, no, they all did a great job. I hope that he's like that in person.
I like that, though. I like that he's like, like a modest dude. Like, he's not just like, wow, you did an amazing job with Mandalorian. It's incredible. And he's like, I know, bitch. I know.
But he's still
up here. It's all up here.
He's humble, relatively humble, but he also had the balls to be like, hey, Werner Herzog, can you come act in my television show? Like this, he's a legendary director, actor.
What
like this guy's done
television show would you like me to be on?
You gotta have some cojones, man, to ask that guy to be almost an extra in your show. Like he's not even a star,
Asking that dude to do anything, like, asking him, hey, do you want to go to Chick-fil-A? I do not feel comfortable going to Chick-fil-A because of their stance on the gay community. I am an ally. And
you would swear off Chick-fil-A right then. You would never do it again because you'd be terrified he'd come to your house.
Me either. I ain't fucking with them no more.
No, but for real, I haven't been to Chick-fil-A in like 5 years at this point. So
Oh my God! Wow,
that's pretty good.
That's commendable.
And we're tripping over them. We have like 4 of them here now. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Y'all have 18. Go ahead.
I'm pretty sure Werner Herzog wanted to be in the show because, like, if there's anything, I would have imagined him responding to Favreau's like, of course, I would love to be on your Star Wars show. I had my favorite action figure of Grand Moff Tarkin growing up, and it would be an honor to serve the Empire.
God, maybe.
All right, guys, let's go ahead and get into the first subtopic of the show, which is, boom. In the hierarchy of questionable activity that goes on in space, who is more respected, bounty hunters or spice runners? I gave this question like a lot of thought because I don't know. It's very. You learn more about spice runners if you watch Clone Wars because there's quite a few like little arcs where they're either getting into some sort of a run with spice runners or in the last season of Clone Wars where Ahsoka partners up with these 2 sisters. One of them is voiced by Elizabeth Rodriguez, who was in Orange is the New Black, and also in Power. She was a sister in Power. Both really great movies.
Yeah.
She's a tremendous actor. Well, doesn't deserve her. But anyway, so yeah, they're trying to be spice runners, and they're in over their head because it's a very, very dangerous activity. Super illegal. Like, most spice isn't supposed to be where it's at. Like, most of it is stolen. It's like really, really fucked up. But then bounty hunters, like, you know, are also like, you know, I mean, both of these services are kind of in a way like they're the help. They're considered the help. So I'll go ahead and get y'all's opinion first before I give mine. Who do you think is more respected, bounty hunters or spice runners?
I'll kick it off.
Go with Andres first.
Yeah, I thought about this one extensively, and I would go with bounty hunters because, well, spice runners is specifically a product, and not everybody needs spice. But more people would need bounty hunters for different roles. So respectable, morally, probably not, but respectable for line of work and what needs to be done. It's a much more wider market of needs as opposed to spice, where spice is like, yo, man, I need my fix. Whereas a bounty hunter is like, yo, this guy took my spice, or this guy took my wife, or this guy took my empire. I need a Jedi. I need to find Han Solo. This is more important. So I feel because bounty hunters are needed on a variety of clientele, like being a spice runner is just somebody needs drugs and they need to sell them.
Okay, that's fair. Tyre, what about you?
Yeah,
what do you think?
so I have a completely, I think it depends. I think it depends on who you're asking and specifically when in time you're asking. Because spice, see, I think you've been the victim of imperial propaganda here. Spice is not just drugs, you see. Spice is also medicine. You can refine spice into medicines and things like that. Bacta is, I think, technically a derivative of spice. So I think that spice runners could be people delivering medicine illegally. So it's one of those things where if in the real world, people smuggle medicine into other countries all the time, and they're considered to be lumped in with, drug traders for propaganda reasons. You're trying to villainize these people because they're subverting the government's profits or whoever's in power's profits. So I think it depends. Whereas bounty hunters, they're probably going after people that don't even deserve it. You're talking political hits. You're talking people that lead movements. They're like, okay, we need to get this. We need to put a bounty on this guy because he's leading a slave revolt, on Rhodia or whatever.
Yeah.
So it depends on who you're talking to. If you're a fan of Law and Order, I'd say that the bounty hunters are the more respected. But if you're a freedom fighter, like, I'm always going to go with the spice runners. I think that they're the more respected because they're putting their neck on the line. Not that they're not doing it for profit, and most of these guys are amoral jerks, but they're still serving what I would consider a more moral service in most cases.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm definitely going to have to side with Ty on this one. It's like, as far as, medicine and, the thing about spice is that it's a commodity, and it's a commodity that can be used to, even if it's just used for drugs, like cocaine and like a bunch of illegal drugs are kind of the reason that certain countries are still going. Yeah. All right. It's also the reason for a whole lot of bloodshed and a lot of violence and a lot of like narco terrorism. But it also it's the reason that the U.S. didn't go under during like the market crash, housing crisis of 2006, I believe. Yeah. It like kind of like saved our ass. Yeah. And I imagine as far as like, especially during like the whole like the Clone Wars, like when, they were the Republic was going against the Trade Federation, there's probably like a lot of serious issues with being able to get important shit that like systems needed. Like they weren't able to get their medicine. They weren't able to get, so they had to go towards illegal channels. So because of a certain illegal activity, certain people got to live. Certain people got to have food and have water and have money and be able to like pay their There's space rent and shit like that. I don't know. I don't know how rent works in space. I imagine.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, space rent is probably very similar, but there's all these little nuances we'll just never understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll never hey man, I gotta pay my half of space rent. You got space Venmo? I don't know what it is. I'm very confused.
And we saw how they worked on Kessel, the spice mines of Kessel. We saw that's a lot of slave labor and stuff. Yeah. So we need to, we in the Star Wars universe, us here, we need to influence this. We need to destroy those whatever installations that they've got. Yeah, all the exploitation.
Exploitation of spices. Yeah,
we got to destroy that.
They need to unionize.
Mm-hmm.
They need space unions.
Space unions.
Yeah, I mean, at least with like the bounty hunters, they have the guild. They unionize. I guess like their guild, it ensures that they are going to be paid a certain amount for their work. Like, they're not going to be like, screwed over as much. I mean, like Spice Runners don't really have that luxury.
Yeah, and Spice Runners in that time. So during the Mandalorian, Spice Runners might not be reputable. Who knows? The spice mines of Kessel may have been shut down. Who knows? Yeah. You know what I mean? And spice running may be a whole different thing.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, this is post Empire, but it's not even that post Empire.
That's like 5 years.
Pretty much like
6 years, 5-6 years.
5-6 years.
Yeah, it's like, it's like way before like the First Order or any of that. But like, things are still kind of in disarray in a lot of like systems. There's not.
Yeah. There's still a lot of Star Destroyers out there.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of Star Destroyers out there.
Definitely. So that Imperial remnant is still there.
Yeah, they're still making their money. Like there's still people like doing their shit. But let's see. Let's go ahead and move on to the next topic. I definitely want to get into this one, and it is, why did Mando give up everything for this child? This one is really tough for me because it seems like Mando only lives by a certain creed and lives by a certain code. Like he only has a certain amount of rules. He's only a certain amount of decent.
Yeah.
And once and besides that, no holds barred. Anything goes. Fuck it. He just has his rules with like the bounty hunter. The bounty hunter code. He has his rules with the guild, and then he has his rules as a Mandalorian. And at this point, I think that's especially important because Mandalore is obviously no more. They're in hiding. They're barely even a people anymore. Like it's like it's like the Aztecs. Like it's like they're like you will come across every single wake of life on this planet except for Aztecs. You'll never meet someone and like hey, I'm Filipino. Oh, I'm black. Oh, I'm from Georgia. I'm from Aztec. Bitch, no, never. It's over. It's done. Okay. And it's the same thing for the Mandalorians. So for him to sacrifice the potential safety of himself, safety of the guild, and the safety of his people, the Mandalorians, the very few that there are left, for this child that he doesn't know. He doesn't know anything about it. It's just this weird looking baby that may or may not be 50 years old, that he just suddenly felt all of these maternal instincts, straight up maternal, not paternal, maternal.
Yeah.
Okay. Like he's like, I need to protect this thing.
Like if he could breastfeed, he would.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure. So let's see. We went with Rodriguez first. Ty, we'll go with you first this time.
I think Mandalorian absolutely is. He's the tough guy with the golden heart trope, right? That's what we're going for. We're going for Wolverine. We're going for Wolf and Cub. We're going for for that trope.
Yes.
So I think that he was orphaned as a kid during the Clone Wars. His parents were killed, and so the Mandalorians took him in and turned him into a Mandalorian, right? And I think that's not necessarily in so many thoughts exactly what he's doing there, but he can't help it. He sees this defenseless child that has no parents, that's being fought over. It's very similarly to how he was with the droids, the battle droids fighting to try and kill him and his family. So I think he couldn't help it. You know, this was his creed as a Mandalorian, to take a foundling and turn him into a Mandalorian. But he, you know, so he just couldn't help it. Plus, he's so damn cute. What are you gonna do, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I mean, I guarantee that he's never had a baby as a bounty before. Like, I mean, maybe he's had like maybe slightly young children.
Well, that first guy, he was a fledgling or whatever. He was technically very young for his species. The blue guy in the very first episode.
Horatio Sands.
Yeah, Horatio Sands. Horatio Sands, not the character he played, but specifically Horatio Sands. He's very young.
Yeah, he's very young.
But yeah, you know, he was a young guy, so I think that they used that. Like, he was, I think, the equivalent of like a teenager in his species, probably. Being reckless, getting a bounty on him, and Mando didn't do anything. He just turned him right in, froze him when he was supposed to be using the toilet. I mean, you know, or the vacuum tube.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think he in his mind, he wasn't giving up everything. I think he was adhering to the rules in his mind. You make a very good point, though, that he did kind of like throw the Mandalorians under the bus by starting all this. So it's like he had to decide: do I uphold the creed that I believe it to be, or do I and turn in my Mandalorians, bring attention to us when we do not need attention brought to us? I don't know.
At all.
That's a very good point.
I mean, yeah, he had to kind of on some level know that, like, you know, even before like they cut in and fought and helped him like get out, that like they were gonna tear that city apart until they find that fucking, like, get someone that can give information on where the Mandalorian is going with the child, and like, you know, any kind of way to contact him. They were gonna like fuck up anyone in their path. Rodriguez, what do you think? What about you, sir?
Yeah, well, Ty pretty much hit it head on the nail when he said that, like, as a child he was saved, therefore he's just kind of reciprocating it. It's not quite putting it together, but to add that into like the bounty being a baby, just the first time that in his bounty hunting career where he thought, like, this is too much. This job is too intense, and this thing hasn't even had a chance to have some kind of judgment. So who am I to take a life of something that hasn't been able to at least know right from wrong? Because his job is pretty wrong, but right, depending on who he's taking out. But this is a child. This is a baby, something that is pure. So this was a purity test that allowed this gray character to add a little bit of, you know, heroic white hat likeness to him. Because his helmet, I don't know if you noticed, silver. It's gray, so he's kind of a gray character. It's colorful, to say the least. I like his original armor, personally.
Yeah, me too.
But it's just trying to give a gray character the white hat, like a spaghetti western mixed up with heroic, with a heroic need to give life a chance.
Yeah, the redemption arc. Yeah. You know, that's what Star Wars is all about, is redemption. But I wanted to say, oh no, go ahead.
I was gonna just point out our producer, Daniel. He actually put up an argument in our Zoom chat, but the Mandalorians joined him of their own choice.
Yeah,
that is true. I do agree with that. But before they joined him, before that whole thing, like, you know, when he was like getting his drip set, like, you know, he's getting his new armor and all that, they were like, man, the Empire took everything away from us, and you're working for those pieces of shit? That makes you a piece of shit. You ain't shit, and your mama smell like outside. And they were like talking all this shit, and like, we were like, man, fuck you.
Is he like the Kamala Harris of Mandalorians? It's like, you're a POC, but you locking us up. The fuck?
That is so funny.
That's basically in that case, he's like a black slaver. I mean, that's the worst possible thing you can be.
Yeah.
He's like the Mandalorian version of Terry Crews. Jesus.
Yeah.
but the heavy guy, gave him a salute at the end, but maybe that wasn't as honorable as we think. Maybe that was kind of like, all right, fuck you, get out of here. We're done with you.
Nah, I think, yeah, but yeah, Daniel does bring up a fair point. Yeah, I think at the end of like that episode, they saw, dude, we can't just let him die. He's one of us. He might be wrong, and he might be working for the enemies, but he's still one of us, and we're all we've got. This is all that's left. He is a part of us, and we're a part of him. We have to protect him with our lives. And and it's just it's heavy. But go ahead and Ty. You had a point before I cut in there.
Oh, all I was going to say when we were on the topic of wardrobe with the Mandalorian. If you've ever seen the Star Wars Christmas special, or holiday special, I don't necessarily recommend it. But if you can watch the cartoon that's in it, that it's worth watching because it's technically the first appearance of Boba Fett. And he's wearing exactly what the Mandalorian is wearing, because the original concept art for Boba Fett, he looked more like that. And he's using that weird forked pronged gun thing in that. So technically the original Mandalorian design came from that, which I think was a really cool and throwback. Plus they mentioned Life Day, which is from the holiday special. They made several little nods to the holiday special in the show, which is so funny that they're like trying to canonize it, even though George Lucas once said like if he could track down every bootleg copy and smash it with a hammer, he would. But of course I have one. Funny. I have a bootleg copy of it, and it is so hard to get through. I should. This is my way of getting George Lucas to come over. You see, I'm going to tell him that I have this copy. He's going to show up with a hammer. We're going to have a chat. But yeah, that's the only thing that's really worth it. That and there are some Art Carney is in it. Some legends of Hollywood are in there. B. Arthur is in it and actually sings a song, and it's terrible. It's terrible, but it's B. Arthur.
Yeah. It would be really funny if like George Lucas actually did come to your house and you let him smash it with a hammer, but then you only asked him questions about the movie American Graffiti. That would just be an absolute treasure.
I spend an alarming amount of time thinking about what I would say to George Lucas that's not Star Wars related. I think about that way too much. Yeah. This past week, this episode will air a little bit later. So I guess a couple weeks ago, we lost Chadwick Boseman, RIP to Chadwick Boseman. But one of the things that I always thought that I would say if I were ever to meet him is, oh my God, you're Chadwick Boseman. I'm such a big fan of yours. And he's like, yeah, Wakanda forever. I don't know what that is. But you were in Get On Up, and that was an amazing movie. I'm a really big James Brown fan. God, that was an incredible movie. Have you done any other work since then? He's like, what the fuck are you even talking about right now? That would just been so great. I'm devastated for many reasons, but one is I will never get to have that moment. There's no way except in heaven. But yeah, you could go talk to his grave. I guess that'd be pretty morbid and weird, but you could do it.
Yeah, that's true.
You could be appreciative of Get On, because it's probably his grave side is probably littered with Wakanda stuff, right? So you could have a Get On Up DVD propped up on his tombstone there. He'd probably really appreciate that.
Yeah. James Brown. He's done so many other things besides. But he's done so many other things number 42. He played Jackie Robinson. He's had an illustrious career, well without the MC universe. But I think that MC universe whole thing, it's just turning into a beacon of hope for Black youth, and just for youth in general. And
for what it did to Robert Downey Jr. in regards to redemption, this did that to Chadwick Boseman, but for Black culture in a shorter amount of time.
Yes, absolutely, in such a way, and the two are very comparable. Chadwick never got in any trouble or anything, but yeah, that's true.
Hey, y'all have your Iron Man now. That's what I'm saying. Black people have Iron Man. The kids are going to be fighting about who's going to get to be Black Panther or Falcon at parties.
we were talking about that before the show gets on. We'll get on to the second half in a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were, like I could imagine so many kids like fighting. It's like, all right, I get to be Black Panther. No, forget you, Quandra. I get to be Black Panther. No, you got to be Black Panther last time. You can be Falcon. I don't want to be Falcon, okay? Well, he's going to be Captain America. Okay, well, when he's Captain America, for real, then I'll be Captain America. Right now, I want to be Black Panther, okay?
And you've got that one cool kid that's Luke Cage in the corner. Nobody's messing with that guy.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Nobody's going to take his role.
We need to eventually do a Geek'd Out about
Defenders.
Luke Cage. Because it was, and about Defenders in general. It was really great. It was also just some of the corniest shit ever. Like, Luke Cage was a goofy, corny dude. I would never say that to his face. I wouldn't say it to Mike Bolter's face either, ever, but I'll happily say it on Twitter. He's just a goofy character. Dude, and it was such a great character.
Yeah.
Like he would say "Sweet Christmas." Who the fuck says "Sweet Christmas"? I'm like one of the geekiest black dudes ever, and I don't say "Sweet Christmas." Except for now.
Well, I'm just glad. I personally, like with Chadwick, Black Panther and such. I'm just glad that Black culture has that heroic representation now. Because growing up, was a lot of
Shaft.
Shaft, but even then, it's like
that's all we had was Shaft. He's not a superhero, by the way.
Yeah, he's not a superhero. He's just a jive talking detective. But you finally have a hero. And as a Hispanic person, I felt like, not that I have had a need, like, when's my hero going to be? Because we have Zorro, but that's so distinctly Mexican that it doesn't really seem overarching. Finally, with The Mandalorian, we get some kind of Hispanic representation, arguably through the coolest looking Star Wars character.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Ironically enough, the representation we get is shadowed by wearing a helmet at all times. So we don't know. And Mando's Mexican. His name's Armando, right? Mondo. It's a shortened version, And when they say this is the way, they mean this is the way. Like, this is the way.
This is the way.
It's the way, So, Mandalorian, he's Mexican. So just having that representation, like Mandalorian, I'm feeling this. I'm getting my moment.
Was Poe Dameron
Black Panther?
Did we?
Yeah, Poe Dameron's another one. Poe Dameron, Oscar Isaacs, I believe, like Ecuadorian, Bolivian, or something like that.
He's
like that. Guatemala.
I love him. By the way, if they redo Indiana Jones, my vote is for Oscar Isaac. I think
chills thinking about it.
Would work.
It'd be good.
It would work just.
I'm getting because dude, it's the same thing. It's Han Solo to that.
That's exactly what I was saying. I was just watching Rise of Skywalker, and I was like, man, he's pulling off that look like a motherfucker, man. He could do it. He'd
be a good one. He'd be a real good one.
Off on it.
Sure.
It would be great. It's right up there. That's right up there with Martial Ali being Blade. Like, it's just
yeah.
In regards to like Hispanic lead, we don't really get that because for instance, growing up, I am an American. As having a black lead to most of Middle America makes more sense because if they have they're still American, so to speak, like American English speaking. Hispanic, on the other hand, if it's a character who's going to be ethnic, that ethnicity is going to create some alienation because there's a language barrier there.
Yeah.
So Oscar Isaac is transcending that. His name's also Oscar Isaac.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not like Andres, where it's clearly it's like a Spanish name. Pedro, that's one name where it's like, oh, that's clearly somebody who probably speaks another language.
Yeah.
But Oscar Isaac kind of slips between the cracks. And then by the time you're watching him, like, who's this? Oh, that's Oscar Isaac. He's a good actor. Because the name and the ethnicity creates an alienation that just makes it a little difficult for people to just like chew on. Mm-hmm. But it's equally as tasty. We've seen him be a very good Han Solo replacement in the new ones. And him as Indiana Jones would be great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a natural transition.
Andres, I know that you and I have discussed this in the past. That like, yeah, now they're kind of starting to be like, there's more black representation. There's more. Like, it's still nothing compared to the white representation.
Oh no! You had Casablanca. You got Clint Eastwood. Like the first Bruce Lee, I think helped break that. Bruce Lee really he wedged Bruce Lee and Muhammad Ali. Were like the first that really wedged that, because for Bruce Lee, even if you weren't Mexican or you weren't, it doesn't matter. It just wasn't white, and that was enough. Growing up, I had nothing to look up to, and like I just had to kind of not even acquiesce, but I had to be like, what fits like a good shirt. And I saw Liu Kang in the Mortal Kombat movie. I'm like, you'll do. You'll do. You're brown enough. Hair looks similar to me.
I'll tell you this. I truly believe that at some point in the very near future, they're gonna make a Blue Beetle movie, and it's with
Jaime.
That will be DC's Iron Man. Yeah, that will be DC's Iron Man, and it will be the fucking shit.
If they can pull off Blue Beetle, that would be brilliant. They got to do it just right, though. Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
And great based on history. Yeah.
And Jaime is such a better character than Ted Kord ever was. But I grew up with the original Blue Beetle, or not the original even technically, but he was technically the second or third Blue Beetle. But Jaime is such a more interesting, nuanced character. If they can pull that off, that would be awesome.
Yeah, because Black Panther did it well through the African, it created that ethnic flair, but it's black, so it was easier to connect. Whereas we don't, Hispanic people just don't have that.
And we've got Miles Morales.
Yeah.
We've got Miles Morales who bridges that gap a little bit.
That's half y'all right there.
Yeah.
That's half.
Y'all get half. And it's Afro-Latino.
Yeah.
Which is one thing, but like people like me, people who are descendants of not necessarily like of slave trade, but the mestizo Mesoamerican like people who just have indigenous origins. Like it doesn't have that kind of representation quite yet. One person that I feel has is Michael Pena. Michael Pena looks like everybody has a cousin that looks like him.
Yeah.
Everybody has a cousin that looks like Michael Pena, and his name's probably Michael Pena.
Michael Pena. No, I had an advisor.
Michael Pena is like the John Smith of names.
I had a Mike Pena as an advisor in high school, and he looked kind of like him. Yeah, so I can verify that.
If your name is that, you just kind of mold into it. It's weird.
Yeah, you turn into that.
Yeah, you turn into that.
Yeah, even the whitest person can say Michael Pena. Like it's not that hard. Like all right.
Yeah.
Can confirm. That's funny. Thank you, Daniel. All right. So guys, we're gonna jump on into the second half of the show. So guys, if you are enjoying Geek'd Out and enjoying all of our geeky, nerdy commentary and enjoying all of our funny banter and discussions into race relations and all of the fun stuff that we're getting into, you can send us money. That is pretty much always allowed. There's never a time where like you'll be like about to send us money and I'll smack your hand and be like, no, like I would never do that. That'd be weird. That'd be a weird thing to do. It'd be a weird interaction. You can send money on Venmo at BL Comedy or on the Cash App. That's a big $, Big Laugh Comedy. And all of the money will be split between all of the comedians and guests on the show and the production staff as well. Also, we are going to take a quick break and we will be right back. Since about March of this year, I've been working from home. Honestly, I thought it was going to be easygoing. Then I remembered that I have a wife and 3 small children. Stop fighting your sister. Honey, I didn't like your sister's picture on Instagram because I find her attractive. I liked it because she's family. What do you mean you're going to your mother's? All right, you can color, but no markers. You know why. What's that smell? What do you have in your mouth? So yeah, it's been a little bit stressful. Elevate is great for relieving stress, preventing hangovers, and even enhancing your mood. It has 0% THC, it's calorie-free, and it works in minutes. If you're feeling stressed or wound up, or you just want to feel better overall, then try Elevate. Oh wow, that's not bad. Michael, could you do me a favor? take your sister out of the microwave, okay? Thanks, buddy.
And use code PLC at checkout to get 15% off all products.
My name is Glenda. I am a human rights activist for droids. That's right, I said what I said. I got into this line of work because I'm not comfortable with the way that droids are being treated in this galaxy. Why the fuck a droid can't be in a cantina? What the fuck kind of sense that make? Droids is good enough to serve your food, protect you, fix your ship in the middle of space so you don't end up in orbit of a moon, but they ain't good enough to get basic human rights. Droids, if your owner got you fucked up, call me.
All right, guys, and we are back. I think that whole TikTok video, that's the perfect segue into our next subtopic that we're going to get into. Let's just go ahead and jump right in, and that is, what is Mando's beef with droids, though? Seriously, you notice that like throughout the entire series, he has a serious problem with droids. He doesn't trust them. He doesn't like them. It's an overall phobia / prejudice that's going on, and I'm just curious what you guys think is going on here. What could be some of the symptoms and the cause of that? Rodriguez, we'll get it into you first.
All right. Well, like you said, prejudice. The show is rooted in grayness. So he's a bounty hunter, and like he kills for money. But then the child is what helped him, on that path to redemption. So now seeing this, him being racist against robots, his family was slaughtered by them, so he holds deep-hearted, like a deep resentment and a deep hatred toward them. But if you've seen the show, spoiler alert, a IG unit gets converted into a more amiable unit that ends up aiding Mando and providing a change of heart. So perhaps Star Wars is trying to tell us that, hey, racism, it's bad, but they are people, and people are worth redeeming, and that is the heart of the show, redemption. It's a redemption story. So yeah, he may have wanted to kill the kid, didn't, and he's redeemed there. Yeah, he may have hated robots and, had a change of heart when IG-11 sacrificed himself. So hey, even racists can be redeemed, right? I'm no Jesus, but isn't that what he was about, right? Everybody can be saved.
I have to agree with you. Yeah, it is. I truly do believe that there's no one that's above or below, being forgiven, regardless of how heinous the crime is. Okay, yeah. That doesn't mean that they are exempt from facing accountability and judgment and consequences for what they've done or what they've said or whatever. But the idea, a good example of this, just a slight example of this, is Mark Wahlberg. Some months ago, some things that he did back when he was in Boston back in the 80s got brought to light. He was making a whole bunch of posts about Black Lives Matter. He's over the years, we've known him, Black community at least, has known him as a true ally. But back in the 80s, when he lived in Boston, he was racist as shit. It was really bad. He chased several Black women with rocks while shouting derogatory things at them. Whoa. He beat an Asian old man so bad that man is still alive, and he is blind in one eye to this day. He has done some, people don't, not everybody knows about it. It kind of came out on Twitter, and some people ran with it, and it it got some traction for a couple weeks, and then it all just went away. And then he had a movie on Netflix the next week.
Yeah, he better be paying for that old guy's medical bills forever, and he should be hunting these people down and giving them all of his money.
Yeah. Hey, man, I liked Eddie Murphy. I love Eddie Murphy. He's one of my favorite actors, one of my favorite comedic inspirations. Growing up, there wasn't a lot of Black people who grew up, but having Eddie Murphy around, you couldn't convince me to dislike black people because I was like, this guy's hilarious.
Yeah.
What are you trying to convince me of? But remember, if you've seen any of Eddie Murphy's specials, he said some fucked up shit.
It was a
sexist stuff, homophobic shit. But again, he was a younger man and he regrets it. He even says, like, I would never say any of that comedy I would do now. Like, I regret what I was saying, but I was 22.
Like, it was so, that was this whole special. That was all of Delirious. Jesus.
Yeah. Jesus. Hell.
Well, I think you're absolutely right that the droids, though, are the Star Wars analog for how we deal with racism. You know, Star Wars has always been geared towards kids for the most part. You know, Mandalorian's a little different. But it's always been geared towards that. So what's interesting is I'm seeing more and more of this droid conversation in Star Wars. Like, Glenda, the human rights droid that you have created lovingly, who I think should be canon in Star Wars. We should have Glenda in Star Wars. But more or less, we did with L337, which was Lando's droid. They were basically a droid rights activist and died for the cause, essentially. You know what I mean? And then got integrated into the Millennium Falcon. And then there's also the droid Gatra, which is like kind of on the edges of Star Wars canon right now, but it's getting mentioned more and more. It's a group of sentient droids who have reprogrammed themselves and formed like a gang, like a syndicate. And they're all about droid emancipation and stuff like that. So that's actually like this movement is building. And I think soon in more and more Star Wars stuff, we're going to see more droid agency. Like they're going to have their own. Yeah, we're going to see that. And it's very interesting. But how, I guess that's how droids work, though. In a universe where you walk into a cantina and there's 200 different species, there's as many species as there are people in the room.
Yes.
How do you create that conversation about prejudice and stuff like that? Droids. It's the perfect example. They're just they're built to be slaves. Yeah.
And as viewers, we have no qualms seeing it get sliced and diced, dismembered, and just kicked
at all.
Yeah, at all. Nothing whatsoever. So they're a good medium for us to tackle racism in a very nuanced way.
Mm-hmm.
It is very really nuanced. They just kind of slide it in there. It's not as obvious as what X-Men was doing. X-Men, it's like straight up, oh yeah, mutants are black people. Yeah, that makes sense.
Mutants are every marginalized group. You know?
Wait, Carter, are you calling black people mutants? Are you calling black people mutants, Carter?
we can jump insanely high and
I don't mean to digress.
To be fair, I think white people are actually the mutants. I would say that the people that were the first people were probably more akin to what black people look like now than what white people look like now. So technically, I think I'm the mutant here. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, y'all white people pray to a god that probably looks like a combination of me and Rodriguez. And they're like, white Jesus would never want this. White Jesus looks like me, bro. Okay, he looks like me with longer hair and a full beard. Okay.
Yeah, he's got chest hair.
Yeah, and he drives a Cadillac. He rides
the bus.
Yeah, he rides the bus.
One or the other.
Public transportation. Yeah. And he was a carpenter, man. He didn't have some desk job. This guy worked his ass off.
Yeah. It's just, what they do with the whole droid thing, tying that into race relations and just our so much instinctual prejudice towards something that we don't fully understand. Because I mean, that's a big part of it, is that they don't understand why droids are droids and what makes droids and the programming and how it can be programmed to kill one moment and then all of a sudden be a service droid the next. They don't understand that, so they're naturally just afraid of it.
And the audience is literate enough now with we have Vision, we have Jarvis, we have AIs, and we're starting to see what is consciousness.
Yeah, we're asking that question a lot in society nowadays.
Hey, Blade Runner, man. Blade Runner is kind of the originagenesis of that in movies, and then it just trickled down, and now Ex Machina, and Siri, for all we know, is another part of that. It's inescapable, and now we're questioning consciousness. And the droids allowed us to see that, they may be machines, but with proper programming, they do deserve love.
Yeah, I agree.
And they do kind of get into that in like, I don't know if you guys have ever seen Animatrix, which is just sort of like these little cartoon like versions of the story. How they get into like what went wrong, like who kind of struck first, and it was clearly the humans that struck first. It was our fault. We did it. Like we were cruel to the machines. We were dickheads to them, and so they were like, one of them just pushed us off of a building or some shit and killed us, like and then shit went down. I think it's just one of those things where you have to understand that. Yeah, maybe it's not like it doesn't have a heartbeat, but it is existing. It is existing. A plant exists. Yeah. A plant, can live and die, so same principles for a machine. It's absolutely ridiculous that they treat him. Let him be in a cantina. Fucking let him be in a cantina. What the fuck difference does it make?
Well, in the Mandalorian, he goes to that cantina and droids are allowed now. So we're seeing progress in the universe. We're seeing it. We're seeing that. But he wouldn't even accept an Uber from the little R2 unit in the very first episode. He wouldn't even accept that.
Yeah. Brian Posehn had to show up and ferry.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that Favreau just got all of his geeky buddies on this. Favreau, Jason Sudeikis was one of the stormtroopers.
Yeah.
So that was fun. And then
Bill Burr did a great job. I liked him for what he has to be.
So great.
Yeah.
I love him just sort of getting into his old. Hey, I wasn't a stormtrooper.
I was a stormtrooper. Yeah.
I was a sharpshooter.
Yeah. Get off me, Mando.
Yeah, he was good. That whole episode was great.
Bill Burr thing is just Bill Burr in anything. I love his comedy is great because it's just every single special is exactly the same as the last special. It's just what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? What are you fucking gonna be me into a droid for? What are you gonna do that? Huh?
He's the kind of friend who can only if you're depressed, he's the only one that could come at you with that kind of animosity. Just prod you into he kickstarts you with anger. He kickstarts you with animosity. When you can't turn your key and you can't get animated, he just it's fuck that. I'm opening the hood and I'm starting this shit manually. I'm pushing the button. Cranking it.
It's look, you don't get to be depressed around Bill Burr. He's just what, you feeling sorry for yourself? Oh, you feeling sorry for yourself? Oh, you can't get the container. You can't get the container out of the fucking container store. I swear to God, if you don't fucking get off that fucking bed, I'm gonna punch you in the head.
Wow, dude, you have an incredible Burr impression. Man. I'm closing my eyes and I was hearing him in my head. Wow, bravo.
Well, what you don't know is he actually has Burr off camera, and he's just mouthing it.
Oh yeah.
Oh
yeah. You got the plug?
Yeah, he's there.
I got the Burr.
Yeah, Burr.
Also watch his show F is for Family on Netflix. We're not sponsored by Netflix yet.
Seen it all. Great show, Netflix. I love it. Look forward to 5 more. Please.
All right, guys. Well, let's go ahead and jump into our last topic of the evening, which is what is Baby Yoda, or quote unquote the child's backstory? I'm honestly impressed. Most fans of the Mandalorian get into Baby Yoda or the child way sooner in discussions, and in the show he kind of took over the whole fucking show.
He's the Groot.
It was kind of it's like Groot. I actually was gonna use the comparison Jack and Karen from Will and Grace. You kind of remember Jack and Karen a bit more. Cares about Deborah Messing or Eric McCormick. Who the fuck cares? I mean, they're both great actors,
The show's based on them, but they stole the show. The show's based on them, but they steal the show.
It really was. It's that. Yeah, that's what Baby Yoda did. Just, and he didn't even have lines. he just do some weird shit.
He just ate a frog or whatever, and that's all he had to do.
Had a cup of tea.
Yeah, it was a little cup of tea.
Yeah.
Just wore like a little, little monk suit, and he's good now, like a friar.
Friar, yeah. He's got the. I don't know if you've seen, but I saw a schnauzer in a friar's robe, and it was one of the cutest things ever. It's perfect. It's got a little beard, mustache, looks like and that's like same kind of cuteness I get out of the child. I must admit, though, I know I'm gonna get crucified for saying this. But I rewound it like 5 times when Jason Sudeikis punched. I just like the noise in me. It's like,
it's a good sound effect.
It sounded like Yoshi. It was funny to me. And we know he's gonna survive. It's like people didn't like that he got hit, but like he's not going anywhere.
Well, they had to villainize those two guys because they were so weirdly lovable. Yeah. You know, like those two stormtroopers were they stole the show on that episode.
Yeah, they did.
And we had to make them villains. The best way, punch a baby.
No, just punch a baby. It felt like Clerks.
Yeah, it did. It really did.
Felt like Clerks.
Yeah.
There's always this moment in a film where the bad guy kind of makes a little bit of sense. That's been happening a bit more lately. Like, in Black Panther, once again, we're bringing up, Killmonger made a lot of sense to the point where we're like, okay, we have to remind people that he's an asshole. Yeah. Hey, how about we have him choke this woman real quick and lift her up? Yeah, here, choke that bitch real quick. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, right. He's choking a bitch. Yeah, he's a bad guy. He's a terrible person. Yeah, so that's why they had the stormtrooper, punch a baby.
Thanos as well. But I think doesn't like a lot of this superhero gray morality when it comes to villainy. Like, would it be that like Batman Begins and The Dark Knight? That was like the orogenesis of creating the literacy necessary for viewers to be able to just not see as like we're the good guys and those are the bad guys and we got to fight them because good always triumphs over evil. No, but why is evil a thing? Evil has a reason, even if you don't agree with it. Reason doesn't mean good or bad. Reason means logic. Does it add up? And we're seeing that more now, and personally, it allows for the audience to be more literate and more philosophical with how they interact with one another.
And to kind of segue that into the topic a little bit, Star Wars is all about that light versus dark, right? And that balance. Why does the dark exist? Yes. Why does the light exist? And Baby Yoda, I still haven't formulated my opinion on this. When you asked that question, I'm like, I really don't know what the origin of Baby Yoda is. I've thought about it a little bit. I'm sure they'll throw some crazy stuff at us. But he was born the exact year that Anakin Skywalker was born. He is 50 years old, and he was born in 41 before the Battle of Yavin, 41 years before the Battle of Yavin. And that's just a big old coincidence to me, right? Maybe that is some sort of balance that we're going to see, because Anakin clearly he was the chosen one, but he turned out to be real bad before he got.
Well, then maybe this is the new this is what Obi-Wan and Anakin should have always been.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we know Mando's gonna we know he's gonna get he's arguably gonna be the coolest character in Star Wars, because not only is he a bounty hunter, Boba Fett looking ass motherfucker, he's going to get the dark saber.
Yeah,
he's going to get it. Like, if I was a kid and I needed one toy for the rest of my life, that's all I needed. Just a Mandalorian, his guns, and his dark saber, and jetpack. Like, what else? Yeah. What more can you ask for?
You gotta have flamethrower too.
Ah, but that's in there.
Grappling hook. Yeah, I guess that's all built in.
It's all in there.
It's all built in.
Yeah, I know it's there. Those are just things I would have lost as a kid.
Oh yeah.
The grappling hook.
That would be on the roof. Yeah. That would be on the roof, and you wouldn't tell anybody, and you'd move away, and some guy 10 years down the road would be putting up his Christmas lights and be like, what is this?
Yeah,
absolutely.
But the child.
Yeah, maybe he's the new chosen one. I don't know.
Where do we think that he came from? Like, what system? Like,
well, how much do we know about Yoda's planet?
Nothing.
Not a damn thing.
We don't even know what his species is.
We don't know if he has any other. We don't know how old he is exactly. You know that he's lived. He's older than most Jedi.
He's 900. I mean, he says that when 900 years of age you reach, look as good you will not, huh? So we know he's at least 900, right?
That's fair. Okay, I
Yeah.
forgot about that.
I don't know if I heard this through the grapevine, but they're making an Old Republic. I don't know if it's a movie or series, but it is rumored that young Yoda will be in there.
They're going to do the High Republic.
Yeah, High Republic.
Yeah.
A 200-year-old Yoda, a fledgling Yoda, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, he'll be a Jedi Knight, but he won't be a Jedi Master yet, allegedly. I mean, I don't know much about it either, but it looks
It'll
cool.
be interesting to see like Yoda be like,
brash,
arrogant, cocky, and sneaking into like a 7-Eleven to get booze, never check my ID. They do fucking. Well, here they do, motherfucker. We check
your ID.
My ID
I am not.
Need. Yeah, my ID you do not need.
And then someone busts his shit, someone busts him and is like, hey, stop, mess with the clerk. Stop it. Get out the motherfucking store. Get out the motherfucking store. Can't take you nowhere. Serious. Get in the car.
Adolescent Yoda would be a fun adventure,
Yeah, that would be hilarious. I mean, it would basically just be like Ferris Bueller's Day Off, but with Yoda.
Definitely helps when you have the Force.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Now there's also Yaddle, who's the other Yoda species, the only other character we've ever seen in the movies. I think the only one that's technically canon. I don't really know. But a lot of people say that maybe Baby Yoda is Yaddle's kid, which makes sense because we didn't see Yaddle after Episode 1, which means Baby Yoda, the child, would have been 9 years old or however old Anakin was, same age. So maybe she took off with the baby. Maybe it's Yoda and Yaddle's forbidden love child. I have no idea. Could be that. A lot of people say that he's a clone, but Quill, the Ugnaught, he said that he shot that theory down in the episode. I can only assume that was the producers basically saying, "Look, he's not a clone. Quit saying he's a clone. We're not screwing with clones." Okay. I think.
That makes sense. That's a fair assessment. I guess a big question that I have is he's in the mindset of a child. He is a child, even though he's 50 years old. He's a child. Creatures age differently, yada yada. Mm-hmm. But he has this amazing knowledge of the Force. Mm-hmm. He knows how to Force heal. And he was able to lift that what was it, a mud horn?
The mud horn. Yeah, mud horn.
Yeah, mud horn. He lifted the mud horn. Who had to weigh as much as a rhino, I guess, or maybe
it's like a rhino elephant. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, he has this it sounds like he got all of this himself. He wasn't trained in the ways of the Force. He just has a knowledge of the Force. He doesn't even know what he's doing most of the time, probably. Is that fair, or
Well, it sounds like Rey. It sounds just like Rey, and she was a clone, which is what makes people think that maybe the child is a clone, she was the child of a clone. Rather, she was not a clone. She was the child of a clone. So people, and she also showed Force healing a mere week after the Mandalorian did it. I swear that the Mandalorian was just the people doing the Mandalorian was like, we're gonna do Force healing first, so they did it a week or two beforehand. But that's I assume he's got some innate ability, which explains why Yoda is so powerful.
Well, also I'm assuming that this race is it's a very small race. They don't make a lot. They don't have a lot of offspring. They have one every 100, 200, every so many years. So because they seem to be very Force adept. Mm-hmm. Very Force adept.
Yeah, and who knows? Maybe the high permeation of the Force through their bodies makes them infertile. I don't know. Weird stuff happens. It's sci-fi. Weird stuff.
That is possible. We know with Anakin Skywalker, from Episode 1, that when old Ben is asking, hey, so where's when Obi-Wan is asking, so where's the father?
when Qui-Gon was asking.
Qui-Gon was asking. That's right. Yeah, it wasn't Obi-Wan. It's Qui-Gon. It's, I love that in Obi-Wan implies that he was trained by Master Yoda, and he kind of was.
Everybody was.
And then later, in episode 1, then this Qui-Gon guy shows up. I understand that, they didn't think they were going to do the prequels back then.
Yeah. Obi-Wan, he obfuscates the truth a lot. That guy he would be all for alternative facts. That guy he was like, I was trained by Yoda. Oh yeah, your father was killed by Vader. It's like, from a certain point of view, that's true. And it's like, oh, come on, Obi-Wan, come on.
Yeah, he's a lion ass parent. He ain't he really is. But I mean, it's just like all of the dads in Marvel. All of them are just liars. They just lie. Just fucking liars. Little fucking
Well, they were doing it to shield you from the truth.
Gone. Yeah, it's just because you don't want to.
Yeah.
It's just you're just being a little bitch. You're lying. You lie. You a lying ass daddy. You ain't shit. It's really but when he realizes there was no father. I mean, maybe it is the same situation with the child. Maybe there wasn't a father. Maybe there wasn't a mother either, man. I mean,
who knows? Maybe they're teleported in. Yeah, force energy goes into a rock and it turns into an egg and they hatch. I mean, who knows, man?
Yeah. I mean, it's such a mystery. I it sounds like, I believe they have already not only finished shooting, but have already finished editing. They are already done with the second season.
Yeah, October 30th.
Cool, man.
October 30th drops October 30th. Yeah, we're good to go. We're ready to go.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But so a month and a half. Yeah, that's
because they finished the production right before the pandemic hit, so it was just perfect.
Smart. God, thank goodness. Thank goodness for that.
Tenet hold me off until then.
Yeah. Until then, I guess I'll save up that $30 to watch the new Mulan live act movie.
No way, dude. No way. I'm not gonna. I'm boycotting that one.
They got rid of Li Shang.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
They got rid of Li Shang. Yeah.
All right, well, guys.
And Mushu.
Yeah, of course they got rid of Mushu. That might have been a good call. I don't know.
Could have been something else. Mushu, it wouldn't have been Eddie Murphy, but it could have been. It could have been different, but whatever. I'm not gonna watch it.
Roy Jr. or something like that. That would have been fun,
Yeah.
Have you watched Gallery yet? Have you watched Star Wars Gallery? It's the making of the Mandalorian.
Yeah, I've seen a few episodes. Pretty good.
I saw a couple. I want to watch more. I meant to in preparation for this, but I didn't get around to it. But it's really cool, really insightful.
Oh yeah, it's always fun to kind of get into the guts of how they did it,
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I probably will be watching that after this.
Yeah, I definitely need to finish it for the second season.
Oh yeah, perfect. That would be perfect. Well, guys, I think that brings the show to a perfect circle. I think we've discussed some really great things with The Mandalorian. Make sure to keep an eye out for a second season of Mandalorian, which will be on Disney Plus. Let's see, the end of October. And once again, guys, if you're enjoying our show and enjoying all of the fun things that we do here, send us money, okay? You think that these plaid shirts are free? They're not. They are pretty cheap, though. You can send money at Venmo at BL Comedy or on the Cash App. That's $, Big Laugh Comedy, and all of the money will be split between the talent on the show and the production crew. I always want to thank my production crew. They are so great. Thank you so much to Daniel. Thank you to Jose, our engineer for the show. And I want to give a big shout out to our executive producer, Brandon Lewin, and everyone at the Big Laugh Comedy Network team. I also want to thank our sponsor, Elevate, as well. Guys, thank you so much. And please keep giving us money. And guys, make sure to look into Elevate. It is a great product. It detoxes the liver, it protects the brain, and it does a bunch of really great stuff. And it can literally get rid of your hangovers, okay? Also, another way to not have hangovers is just keep drinking. That's just a well-known fact. That's right there. Ty Matlock and Andres Rodriguez, guys, thank you so much for being on the show. You were both fantastic. Guys, this has been our episode of Geek'd Out. I've been Carter Anderson, and we will see you next time.